Still doesn't seem to be showing us live, though. Oh, never mind. My bad. Hello, we made it.
I don't know how we screwed it up.
Me and Steph streamed for like 3 minutes to a ghost stream that wasn't here. It was wild. It was said we were live, had all the numbers going that we've been live for this many minutes.
And Ember,
I don't know where it went.
I don't understand. It was like everything went.
The ghost stream got me.
And then Ember goes blue. Like Ember said, she had blue screen. I'm glad it wasn't a blue screen of death.
Oh, it was.
I got a blue spinnaker behind me. That's blue.
Yeah.
It's more delightful.
Ooh, it was the blue screen of death.
Oh, yeah. But I can resurrect computers. I have that mystical power.
Oh, that's good. Because
maybe, but can you resurrect the internet?
That's a lot of computers.
Yeah.
What, do I look like Jesus to you?
I don't know.
Well, how are we doing this evening, ladies?
Pretty good.
Well, pretty tired.
Yeah,
that too. Yes, but that goes without saying. You know.
No. Well, I just said it, so it obviously doesn't go without saying.
It doesn't not go without saying.
Yeah. How have you? But I mean, your new job, right? It's got to be working you to the bone again. But
work your fingers to the bone, you get bony fingers. That was a popular song, believe it or not. Anyway, yeah, I've been taking apart boats and getting them ready to go to sleep for the winter, and it requires me to climb up 15-foot ladders with 25 pounds of tools and climb back down them and run around the yard and do a whole bunch of stuff. You tried doing that.
Well, I wouldn't know the first thing about taking the stuff apart on a boat. You take care of that.
But it's tons of fun, and it's outside. It's been beautiful in Maine, and right on the Fore River, right on Portland Harbor, right in Portland Harbor. It's been a delight, and it's been delightful doing this. I've been doing it for 2.5 weeks now, and so we're trying to finagle a little bit of improvements in the boatyard, and so got fingers crossed. Maybe this is a good step. It's difficult transitioning at any point in time, whether it's our kinds of transition or anybody's kind of transition is difficult. And wrapping your mind around it is difficult and challenging and a hell of a lot of fun if it's the right thing to do. So, so far, so good. Not the first time I've played this game, but how about you? You guys, you're moving, right? You know,
yeah, I am moving. Well, I think I'm going to be able to take most of my stuff in a rental van down. That's the plan. Right now, I'm trying to figure out the logistics of getting as much of my stuff down there in one trip as possible because it's a long trip. So it's going to take me probably 2 to 3 days just to drive down there. But once I get there, it should be pretty chillaxed, but we will see what happens. I still got a lot of packing to do. Obviously, I have this segment here. I'll be packed up last. You can see the shelves behind me are getting emptier and emptier, though, as I stash everything away.
Are you going to be able to save the bugs, or are we going to have to do a whole new Bill Breeze bug menagerie again?
Well,
we will.
Hopefully things go pretty well. I know last time I moved, I had a lot of loss, and I didn't have nearly as long on the road. Because I couldn't keep it heated, but it's the situation. It is what it is. But hopefully everybody will survive. Everybody will make the journey in peace. And we will arrive in Texas and that's the thing too. It's a lot warmer now than it was last time when I had that issue as well. So
true.
But
it's supposed to get to, most appropriately freezing, well, a good deal cooler up here next week, so we'll see how that goes. It seems appropriate for Halloween,
Well, it needs to be cold. I need to do is
witch's tit and a tin bra.
Before I leave sometime this week, really, I need to go out there with my camera and just walk around town and capture the fall foliage, because where I'm going, there's not fall, not in the way that we have here in the Midwest. But I'll be able to see the cactuses bloom in the spring now, so something I've always wanted to see. We used to have just a calendar of different cactuses blooming when I was a kid, and my mom told me that time that she went out there to where was it? Yellowstone National Park, and they had some cactuses in bloom out there that were really pretty. But enough meandering about our little corners of the world. Well, I feel kind of rude because I don't really ask Ember much about what she's got going on and all, but
it's all good. I just work all the time.
All the
we're
time.
up to 4 channels now besides Transpositions. And it's a discussion for offline, but I have an idea for the thing we were talking about during the premiere earlier. It's not fully fleshed out yet, though, but yeah.
Yeah. But there's a few things I did want to bring up on the panel today, because this popped up in my feed, and this is from, of course, the New York Times. So it has to be true, right? U.S. study on puberty blockers goes unpublished because of politics. Doctor says the leader in a long-running study said that the drugs did not improve mental health in children. This is just bear with me. Did not improve mental health in children with gender distress, and that the finding might be weaponized by opponents of the care. So there's a fundamental misunderstanding of the data that this pulls up. When you actually pull up the study, the reason that there was no increase, as far as I could tell, was because there was no serious none of the children that they had in the study were starting from a distressed position. I don't understand how they can put this as the title legally based on what the study actually says, but they'll spin it however they can.
You mean misleading, burying the lead, misleading headlines, or no? That's kind of what the New York Times does. They're just terrible. The New York Times has been awful on trans issues, and it has been for a long time. Just like the New York Times is always horrible on gay issues. The Sulzberger family were tremendous homophobes. And you couldn't be gay and be a reporter for the New York Times for the longest time because Adolph Oakes Sulzberger was a fucking raging homophobe. The New York Times can bite me. Forgive me, but that's my opinion. We welcome yours.
That's fair, and as Fox News has proved over and over in court, you can just straight up lie on the news. There's nothing about news that means it needs to be true. It's the idea is if you report nonsense, eventually people stop believing you. In theory, but Fox News proved that one was false too. No, I see this study as being, we saw a similar thing with the Cass review, ironically. The only novel research Hillary Cass did was into the efficacy of puberty blockers with a very small sample size, much like we see in this paper, and it showed that the children that they were using for their sample, they measured their general mental health wellness, and they found that the ones on puberty blockers, it did not improve. But it also did not decrease the way it did in the control group that didn't get puberty blockers, where they kept getting worse and worse.
Stabilizes it, yeah.
Exactly.
I just want to read this.
Well, and you're putting your finger on the difficulty of running randomized trials in the medical field. When something proves efficacious, and you're just screwing the people that are getting a double blind sort of thing. Well, we're going to give you this treatment, but it's not really the treatment you need. And you believe how you do that? How do you do that with puberty blockers? If you're giving somebody a sugar pill, and this group of people a sugar pill, and this group of people puberty blockers, this group of people is going to be going through puberty, and this group of people are not. And how is that even fucking rational? It's just insane.
They're not rational people.
And that it's crazy to ask for that, and it's unethical. There's a whole thing on this.
Let me read this last paragraph here, and then go back up and read the opening paragraph again, and you can see the contrast. But the American trials did not find similar, just talking about the Dutch trials, but the American trials did not find a similar trend, Dr. Olson Kennedy said in a wide range of interviews. Puberty blockers did not lead to mental health improvement, she said, most likely because the children were already doing well when the study began. Which conflicts with what they're trying to say here. The leader in a long-running study said that the drugs did not improve mental health in children with gender distress, and that the findings might be weaponized by opponents of the care. So this word right here, gender distress, sounds like it's counter to what it was referring to down there. I'm so annoyed by that.
It's nuts. And it's a way of portraying propaganda that fits a narrative that doesn't tell the story of the medical research at all.
I hope this doctor sues them for lying about what she said. Basically, they lied in their headline. They actually do admit it in the bulk of the article that the reason why there was no improvement is because the children were doing good. They were already all right. So they didn't,
and it won't matter if the Times publishes a oh gee, sorry, too bad. It's not going to matter. In fact, the damage is already done. That's the way these things roll, and it's so grim.
yeah. The New York Times is never going to give a proper take or a decent take on queer issues in general, right? It's just not going to happen.
I don't think so. They certainly haven't demonstrated that that they've ever gave a shit about the damage that they do. Just they're horrible.
Well,
hate them.
And this is an unpublished study. Isn't a study, by the way. It's unpublished, so it's just some research data.
Yeah, who's the assign? Who wrote the article? Who wrote this?
Azine Gorashi.
Yeah, and she's written a ton of stuff along similar. She's the assignment editor to be the character assassination columnist against the trans community. She has published article after article. I can't think of them all off the top of my head.
I got some right here.
Every single one of her pieces takes a negative view of trans people. Period.
Yeah. We got it right here.
I believe she was involved with the whole bullshit, story out of St. Louis.
Yeah, the Jesse Zingall story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at every other story she does is about us, right? 3% of American high schoolers identify as transgender. First national find,
and it's all
Biden officially
fear mongering. It's all bullshit, and it winds up on the fucking front page or in the magazine or something like this, and all sorts of people get to see it. And even the liberal New York Times thinks it's just such nonsense.
Biden official push to remove age limits in transgender surgery documents show. Hillary Cass says U.S. doctors are out of date on youth gender medicine. It just Scotland pauses gender medication for mine. This is going back into April.
It's a litany. It's a litany of abuse.
The whole
that appears in the paper of record, and they have never addressed it. They have their staffers have given them shit, and they've never addressed it. They won't.
Now, the good thing about finding this article, though, is it led me to an actual study that seems like we're seeing good news, and this is published October 21st. So this is brand new in the journals here, in the health journals. But levels of satisfaction and regret with gender-affirming medical care in adolescence. How satisfied and or regretful are youth after receiving puberty blockers and or hormones provided as part of their gender-affirming medical care? And this is a much bigger study than that last one, too. The last one, they said they surveyed 90-some kids. This one's 220 youth right here. And the results among the 220 youths in the main sample. Oh, I hear Carly.
Hi, Carly.
Hey, Morgan, our other friend.
Boy, we had technical gremlins tonight.
Yeah, we did.
They're contagious.
In here.
Let's just jump right to the conclusion here. Jump to conclusion.
Let's jump to conclusions, just like the New York Times. Let's do that.
That's right. But
it said, the findings suggest that youth accessing puberty blockers and hormones as part of their gender-affirming care tend to be satisfied with and not regretful of that care several years later. While regret was rare, these experiences need to be better understood. So, Yeah. Now, if the New York Times was gonna be publishing this, they would have said something along the lines of just regret rates are still unclear. We need to do more research or some crap like that because they want to spin it in a different direction. So that's why I'm bringing you straight here from the horse's mouth. This is the published papers of the actual research project, right? This is how it actually went down. And you get a full text document of this.
Yeah,
this is just
the Journal of the American Medical Association.
And this one will be in. This one is in our library now. So
yeah. This is the one that's a little bit weird because, out of the whole 9 children that were regretful, 4 of them chose to continue receiving gender-affirming care, even though they were tagged as regretful, but they wanted to keep going. So I don't know.
Strange.
On this study?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's only been out for like 3 days, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this might be different.
I'm wondering if that wasn't a different study. That wasn't the study the New York Times was going off about a minute ago.
No, this is the one I shared.
Okay, cool. No, I believe you. So, yeah, I see you shared it the day it published. Absolutely, I see it here.
Right.
I was considering it for a science spotlight, but it's because of that weird anomaly. I'm like, I'm not sure what to make of this data.
Yeah. Well, this is actually published compared to the New York Times unpublished mystery document that they had to reimagine what the doctor said. They're literally just reimagining what the doctor said. It's wild. So, Miss Carly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here tonight. Good to be in all the fun. Can't wait to run another good Transposition Sports is coming. As a matter of fact, right after we get done at the front of the show, I'm actually taking a part on a special, shall we say, minds on Twitter tonight as well. I'm myself, Kirsty Miller, and Verity Carl Smith are doing an Ask a Trans Athlete Anything panel on
That's
Twitter
awesome.
tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. It's late at night because we have one person in the UK. It's morning over there, and of course Kirsty Miller's in Australia, so it's the next night over there. So, or rather, it's mid-afternoon there.
Say hey to Kirsty for me.
Will do. But in the meantime, tonight we're going to be. But in Transposition Sports, among the things there's been yet another. The forfeit crisis continues. The commissioner of the Mountain West Conference has actually spoken out on this. But needless to say, like every other, I give her credit for at least speaking out, but she didn't say much. If you want to know more, check out Transposition Sports. And of course, Transposition Sports, we're going to be running it. We're going to be running the notlosingyu.com video. So there's your tearjerker. And they're still trying to get that thing at least on some television stations in Battleground, Pennsylvania. So, and if you get a chance, hit up Angry Gay Grandpa's Patreon. Throw him a few shekels so we can get this thing on some TV screens, at least in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, because people need to see this. But once again, the forfeit crisis. The forfeit crisis is even hitting high school sports now. You have teams, you have schools that are now just saying, the heck with it. You got a trans kid on your team, or in the case of San Jose State, somebody who's allegedly to be trans. Remember, Blair Fleming has not told you anything. She hasn't disclosed anything, nor should she have to anyone save the people that need to know if she is trans. The point is, this is becoming a lynch mob. Yes, I said, this is what this is becoming. And it's becoming a situation literally anything you want a trans person to any form, and people will believe them. Remember, this person was outed. whether it's
Carly,
falsely outed.
your mic is cutting in and out every now and again. So I don't know if it's.
But yeah,
Okay,
you're
that's better.
absolutely right. We know nothing for sure. It was someone else outed her on Redux, which is not the most reliable website ever, needless to say.
Redux is unreliable, and there's another story where Redux ought to be a shit. There are two more stories out there that involve people that I have. One person who I happen to consider a friend, and another person who's a teenager who Redux is coming out with and basically trying to. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous what they're doing, but the fact of the matter is, you have a member of a team captain who's going on every right-wing media source you can find to demean this person. And yet this person still has a place on a team. Shame on you, San Jose State. Yes, I said it.
Yeah.
Shame on you for not only allowing this kid to remain in the locker room, but to let them shoot their mouth off to Megyn Kelly. And
in the sport of sailing, we have
do you wonder why you went from 9-0 to 9-3 and losing 9 sets of your next 10?
In the sport of sailing, we have a rule. It's called Rule 69, and it's all about unsportsmanlike conduct. And this kind of stuff, attacking someone personally and without any foundation and doing this, that'll get you kicked out of the sport in a heartbeat. And this person should,
That's a nice rule.
If you're cis, because the fact of the matter is, if you're trans, a trans person in 2024 can be Emmett Tilled at will. Yes, I use that analogy. Don't like it too bad. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing.
I feel much better when you make that comparison than when my lily white ass does. So thank you so much for saying that, Carly.
Discrimination is discrimination. I don't care who. And if you have a problem with me saying that, you can get in my DMs and we talk about it. But I'm tired of this monster movie mentality that's out right now. I'm tired of the fact that we have a mainstream media in this country who's complicit in this. I ask you, why isn't anybody truly covered this story? There's only one media outlet that's truly covered that story, and the only reason that they have been willing to go and cover this story is because a transgender woman runs their sports desk. Mm-hmm. Christina Carl, you are doing the Lord's work over at the San Francisco Chronicle right now, and bless you for doing it, Christina. Bless you for sending reporters out to get the story. Bless you for actually printing that the kid who's out here outing people, and Brooke Flusser's mom is literally a wanton transphobe out in public at San Jose State's games. Good on you for saying it. Good on your reporters for putting it out there. And that's the way it ought to be.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of being Emmett Tilled, here's go ahead, Ember. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I miss the people at the San Francisco Chronicle. They always had way more. We're gonna go get this. We're gonna find the frickin' truth than any other paper I'd ever worked with. It's just they're a great team.
Well, the thing is, though, you have Christina Carl running their sports desk, and that's why you've seen the coverage that you're seeing from them. And I'm glad that she's out there driving the coverage. But this whole forfeit thing's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand. It's gotten out of hand. The monster movie mentality, and the real sad thing is, with the exception of a few beautiful and wonderful queer journalists, like a Katie Barnes, like a Frankie De La Creta, like a Dawn Ennis, the queer press is going. The LGBTQ press is actually doing the things. The folks over at them are doing it. Kate Soskin, they're talking about these things, but one thing we are putting on tonight is after for the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've ran the nastiness. Tonight, we're going to run trans voices that got an opportunity actually in some mainstream outlets to actually speak about what we're seeing on this run up to this election. And let me guess, 2 more sisters gone. Is that what we're putting up here now?
This was in 2019, but just to punctuate, yeah, it's not a new phenomenon. We've been this has been escalating for years from this, but we finally have justice for Pebbles Ladime Doe,
it only took 3 years.
Yeah. The wheels of justice sure are slow. I saw this, didn't plan on to bringing it up, but since you had mentioned
the wheels of justice are sis. Let's just be honest with that today.
Yeah. And you can see that she has a melanin level that makes her less important to the investigation as well. So
and let's be real about it. I'll own the fact that I'm afraid that could be me. I'm afraid that could be
girl.
That I could be me.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean,
me too.
Yeah, I was just talking about. It's a bit of a story. I did a thing on another channel, but there's a stop that I go to regularly. In fact, I have to go there first thing in the morning tomorrow, where I cannot use the bathroom, and it's not because the company says I can't.
Yeah, I saw your video on that.
Yeah,
I saw your video on
I watched it too, the Book of Ember video. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. The reason is because the company is afraid that their employees might do something they'd be liable for. Like,
I was actually going to ask if you wanted to share that here, but I know you were wearing your company hat when you
Oh no, that's
Ember,
public info. Yeah, you can run the thing if you want to.
Ember, I look forward to being in your forum to be interviewed. I look forward to it. I'll just say that right now. I look forward to it.
I'm on there soon. When am I being interviewed? Is that tomorrow?
Oh, we're doing an interview on my main channel for the Atheist Live show. I know I'm scheduling so many interviews for different things.
No, the Atheist Live show. That's going to be interesting. Me on a show.
No, Carly, you're on Transparency Talk.
I was about to say me on a show of atheist and I'm a devout Christian. That would be That would be an interesting show.
This is why I have many channels, because I have many hats, as we all know, and the things need to go in their separate places.
But although I will say this, I am a staunch believer in the separation of church and state. I am the staunch believer in freedom of religion, but also freedom from it, because because firmly I believe that theocracy and democracy don't mix.
Damn right.
And there are people that want that. And I say this to people like myself who are believers. If you are a believer, it is in your interest as a person of faith to support freedom of religion and freedom from it. It is in your interest to support the separation of church and state, because a state that can demand that you pray can also demand to tell you how you do it. Remember, we have a group of people in this country that truly believe The Handmaid's Tale is a textbook.
It's a game plan. That in 1984. They're using it as a freaking script.
Well, they squished it together and they stapled it together and called it Project 2025.
Right?
Well, you see, here's the thing about it, because you happen to talk about one of my 10 favorite novels of all time. 1984 is one of my 10 favorite novels. And actually, the film adaptation that was done in 1984 is beautiful and excellent. And I watch it the one with William Hurt.
William Hurt's a great actor.
I watch it ever so often. Wait a minute, did I get that actor right? I just want to be sure. I just want to be sure. Because some tells me no, John Hurt. See, I always get those two mixed up. No, John Hurt played William Smith, and it was beautiful. The Eurythmics did the soundtrack for it, and it was beautiful and gritty, and it really looked 20 years ahead of its time. It looked like it was done in, say, 2004 or 2014, not done in 1984. And
Yeah, it's good
but
shit.
one of the things is about that novel is that, if nothing else, as a journalist, 1984 speaks to me because of the way we use and manipulate language, newspeak.
Mm-hmm.
And in effect, that's what Project 2025 is trying to do. It is trying to eliminate the means for our community to define ourselves and to describe ourselves. And by our communities, I'm not just meaning trans communities. They're doing that to communities of color. They're doing it to Black communities. They're doing it to women. They want to make sure that you cannot define your experience on your own terms. That's what Project 2025 does, and I encourage you. I know it's long. I know it's 900 pages, but I encourage every American should read it. Understand what the Gilead Republicans want to do to you. Imagine what
and it's not stopping with this election. It's not stopping
imagine what
with this
these Christian
election.
Ayatollahs. Imagine what the Christian Ayatollahs want to do to you. Yes.
It's critical for people to understand that Donald Trump is a figurehead, but J.D. Vance is a young man. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, he's not going away. All of these people have been bought by Peter Thiel, by Elon Musk. These people want this. And they goddamn ready to pay for it. They bought it. And they write the checks. The Federalist Society is taking over the courts.
And
the Heritage Foundation has taken over the Republican Party. What you're looking at is the John Birch Society. That's what you got.
Yeah, but here's what gets me: these people who are using people of faith. As a person of faith, this is what really offends me the most. That these people use people of faith to be foot soldiers, and these are the same people who laugh at people of faith. These are people that laugh at church-going folks. They laugh at you. They use you to sell their agenda, and then they laugh at you. You really think Peter Thiel do you really think Peter Thiel has set his ass in a pew anytime? Elon Musk?
Someday,
Peter Thiel is a gay man.
Yeah, I was gonna say someday I hope that the leopards find Peter Thiel but no one was supposed to know. He actually sued about that coming out about him being.
But you know that's the other thing too, because there are certain people, there are certain very conservative gay men who, quite frankly, they want to try and see if they can thread that needle. Because the fact of the matter is, you can control the world, or you can control the world to be a gay white man. You can't do both.
There are tons of people who want to be one of the good ones, and we see it in every community, as you're saying, Carly. It's like every community.
Everybody, somebody's got to be Roy Cohn.
Yeah.
Or Clarence Thomas.
There you go.
Yeah, I went there. No, I haven't. No, I went there. I go there. I go there against Black conservatives. I go there against pick me trans people. I go there because I'm seeing how much they want to hurt people. No, and one of the things that bother me is how people don't use the things I love to sell bigotry. I love my Lord, and you're using my Lord to sell bigotry. I love my sports, and people are using sports to sell bigotry against children. See, that's the thing. They're messing with kids. You're going after someone's kids, and then on the other side, you get these people who are complaining. Just once, I want to see somebody when a team I'd like to see an athletic director when some high school team forfeits against my team because they want to play, because they don't want to play because one of my kids is trans. I would love to see a high school athletic director just publicly shame the school that doesn't play us. And I'd like to see them walk up to, you don't want to play my girls' soccer team? Fine. I would be calling my football coach and say, do we play them this right? Yeah. I want you to run the score up on them. I don't care what. I want you to hang 100 points on them. If you have a chance to blow them out, and don't. If they're coming to our field, let's make this the most inhospitable environment for them possible. Let's let them know bigotry does not live here. We need.
Somebody in the chat.
shade.
Daniel Hopkins in the chat says, "Please don't use the Lord's name in vain." I didn't mention Krishna. The hell are you talking about?
Don't use the Lord's name in vain. I think we need to have a little righteous anger today.
Well, I was like, if I was religious, that would offend me.
You know, you know what? The Lord said, the scripture said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, and I believe it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm angry enough to tell the Lord I love you, but I need my I need my pound of flesh first. What you're hearing to the person in the chat that's talking about this, Daniel, what you're hearing is righteous indignation, and we need some righteous anger right now. We need a little bit of Jesus Christ with the money changers in the temple energy right now. If you're not angry,
some tables
you're
over.
not paying.
That's what we're talking about.
If you're not angry, you're not paying attention. You're not hip to the tip of what's going on out here. Believe me, he and I speak daily. So I know that the good Lord is going to look down at me and say, the good Lord is going to look down at me and give me the David and Goliath voice to say, Carly, you know that's not right. I know that's going to happen. But I'll admit, Lord, forgive me for I have sinned right now, but I have a lot of righteous anger because right now I'm seeing a teenager whose only crime is she's trans and wants to play ball with her friends getting harmed by adults. Save that. Yeah. You know what? Spend some of that righteous scriptural indignation on them. If you want to condemn somebody, because I'm not the one. Not today. I'm scared because I realize that in 2 weeks.
Top left is Stephanie Helms, Daniel. That's me. You can read my fucking name. God damn it.
In 2 weeks, my life, my interests become something that goes up to a popular vote. Do you even, sir, do you understand what that means? When people walk, when 160 million Americans walk in this voting booth in this country, you know what they're voting on? They're voting on whether I get to be a citizen or not. They're voting on whether if the police can beat me down because of my melanin content or not. They're going to vote. We're having a popular vote on Dred Scott. This is Dred Scott stuff right here. We're seeing Dred Scott 2.0 right in front of us.
Yeah.
I'll pray for you. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right. Well, thank you, Carly, for putting your 2 cents in today. Really always appreciate your insights on these things. We're about to lose Ember, so I want to give her the stage for just a minute. Yeah, if you have anything you want to close with, or if you want to give any kind of wind up to your good news segment that's coming up.
Sure. Yeah, we've covered a whole lot of topics, but I mean, ultimately, it all boils down to what Carly was just saying, that these people are hurting kids. They're hurting us, but they're hurting kids as well, and they're doing it for power. They don't give a fuck about any of us or the children or whoever else they need to throw under the bus. Remember, this didn't get started until that bathroom bill got proposed in North Carolina in 2015. The reason it was in 2015 is because the year before gay marriage was legalized and the conservatives needed a new scapegoat. It's always been a distraction, so you're not paying attention to how badly they're coming for all of us. We're just the tip of the spear, as Stephanie likes to say. Now, on good news, we've got an election special, coincidentally enough. Last week, I mentioned a bunch of people running for office around the country and the world. This week, we're going to look at some of the people who are currently holding office and trying to protect all the citizens from that kind of power grab corruption nonsense. Hope you stick around for it.
Yeah, and we are going to be doing a costume contest because next week's Halloween. So I think the only person we're missing is Steph. We still need a costume from Steph. It doesn't have to be a current costume. It can be an old costume from back in the day or whatever.
No. I understand. I was, as mentioned before at the start of the show, at the opening of the show, I've been moving. I've been changing stuff, and I've access to pictures is difficult. I might come up with a costume, but the picture I was going to use was a picture of my head in a I can't remember. I think it was a Budweiser. It might have been light beer from Miller. 12-pack box. And it's like over my head with sunglasses on it because I'd done something incredibly stupid on the race course. But that wasn't a costume, but it was a trick or treat sort of situation. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah.
If I can find that photo, I will pass it along. Or if I think of something else, I will certainly pass it along.
Well, hey, troops, I'm going to get to that other panel. I'll be back a little bit later, but let's keep the fight up and let's have a great show, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's roll.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. And Ember's probably going to pop out to the side chat now, and we're going to run some good news for you first and foremost. So that's what's coming up next. All right. I'm going to see you guys in good news in just a moment. So how do we do this? Fastest way to do this is going to be like this, and then.
Good news, everyone! Tonight, a Transillion Shine, a special election season edition of Good News starts right now. Last week, we talked about a bunch of trans people running for office. This week, let's meet some of the trailblazers already hard at work fighting for human rights for all. At time of recording, there were 1,270 GSM elected officials across the United States, comprising just 0.24% of all elected offices. Of those, only 20 hold elected office at the state level and are openly trans. Here are the folks who have information publicly available. Lorena Austin is the non-binary representative for Arizona's 9th District, from their website. As a proud Mesa native, Lorena has remained actively engaged in their community, volunteering with various organizations. Their dedication to activism extends to their role as a state House representative in Arizona, where they have tirelessly fought for access to abortion, funding pre-K-20 public schools, and championed LGBTQ+ rights. Driven by their first-hand experience of the housing challenges in Mesa, Lorena is working to create more affordable housing options in their district. Their efforts include advocating for the construction of smaller, more affordable homes to address the pressing need for housing. As a state House representative, Lorena's advocacy extends to the critical issues such as ensuring abortion access, preserving water supply, and expanding affordable housing options. Their fearlessness in confronting injustice and amplifying marginalized voices embodies their relentless pursuit of a fair and inclusive society. Jerry Cannon, trans woman for the New Hampshire House 18th, has been advocating for over 20 years. She's a parent, a grandparent, a master carpenter, church steward, former school board member who only left that post to take on the role in state government, and frequent speaker at businesses, schools, and other events all over the state. She is retiring at the end of this term, but has laid a lot of groundwork for those who come after, including proposing a bill that would allow trans residents to update their birth certificates. Brian Cena, non-binary representative from Chittenden in the Vermont House, from their website. Upon graduation from high school, they attended Dartmouth College, despite being from one of the poorest high schools in Bergen County. Due to their commitment to need-blind admissions and their generous financial aid, they graduated from Dartmouth in 1998 as a senior fellow with a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. They moved to Burlington to make music and to serve as an AmeriCorps member at Spectrum Youth and Family Services. While at Spectrum, they began their journey in the profession of social work that led to receiving a master's degree in social work in 2005 at the University of Vermont. Since grad school, they've worked as a substitute crisis clinician. They also worked for 4 years as a family support worker and social services supervisor for transitional services for youth and families. After achieving professional licensure, they started a private practice in clinical social work in 2010. One of their areas of specialty is multicultural practice. They've worked mostly with those who face discrimination based on class, race, ethnicity, color, sexuality, gender identity and expression, and sex. They've served refugees, immigrants, LGBTQIA+ people with different abilities due to divergences and diversity of the mind, body, and spirit. They have both endured and witnessed the harms caused to the people by the systems of the state. They've heard hopes and dreams alongside the stories of trauma and pain as they listened to the voices of so many people over their 24 years working in Vermont. They have seen the power of people to overcome the greatest obstacles when they are empowered to not only change themselves, but also to change their world. Brianne Curran, non-binary rep from Minnesota House District 36B. From their website, Brianne began their career in the nonprofit world at Northeast Residents Incorporated 2 days after graduating Centennial High School in 2003. They spent 20 years at this nonprofit serving their neighbors with developmental disabilities and occasionally still volunteers there. After graduating college, they joined the White Bear Lake Police Department as a volunteer police reserve officer. They rose to the rank of reserve sergeant responsible for local event coordination and training other reserve officers, and later served as a 911 dispatcher. This work drives Brianne's passion to serve on the Human Services Policy Committee, where they passed bills to further independence and access to community resources. Emily Devendorf, non-binary representative from Michigan's House District 77. From their website, I served as an executive director for Equality Michigan, president of the Lansing Association of Human Rights, vice president of the board of the Firecracker Foundation, which advocates for survivors of childhood sexual trauma, and board member of the Lansing Area AIDS Network and the Ingham County Women's Commission. I was federally appointed in 2015 to the Michigan Advisory Committee to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights and later served as co-chair. As a legislator, I am passionate about advocating for progressive policy, particularly on LGBTQIA equality, racial justice and equality, sexual and domestic violence, women's rights, and HIV/AIDS. Lee Finke, whose entry is incomplete, but fortunately we know from previous reporting that she hails from Minnesota and played a crucial role in making the state a trans sanctuary. She is the trans woman representative from District 66A, and from her website, Lee graduated from Bethel College in 2003 and received her Master of Arts in Shakespeare from DePaul University in 2007. After short turns in Chicago and Missoula, Montana, Lee moved home to St. Paul, becoming a longtime renter and resident of the Midway neighborhood. In the years prior to running for office, Lee worked as a journalist, media creator, and documentary filmmaker. In 2022, she was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives, becoming the first out trans person elected to the Minnesota legislature. Throughout her first term, Lee has served as the chair of the Queer Legislators Caucus. Lee's political activism began at Bethel when she took an active role in protesting the war in Iraq. She has never stopped advocating for civil liberties at home and abroad. Today, Lee is a committed and passionate advocate for 2S LGBTQIA+ equality, abortion rights, prison justice, and environmental equity. She was named Minnesota Woman of the Year by USA Today in 2023, a 2023 Changemaker by Minnesota Public Radio, and won the 2023 Health Hero Award at Children's Minnesota. In her personal time, Lee enjoys writing, painting, traveling, skateboarding, and organizing community events, and exploring Minnesota's parks with her kids. S.J. Howell, non-binary representative from Montana House District 95. From their website, I grew up in Billings, Montana, attended Billings Public Schools, played Little League in the park, and swam in the Yellowstone River in the summer. I first moved to Missoula to attend undergrad at the University of Montana, and I now feel fortunate to call Missoula my home, where I live with my partner, my 12-year-old son, and our cats. My work as a community organizer began as an undergraduate at the University of Montana. I've worked on issues from healthcare access, living wages, LGBTQ rights, criminal justice reform, and revenue. I am currently the executive director of a statewide nonprofit organization, Montana Women Vote, a job I held for 10 years before being elected into office. Sarah McBride, a trans woman, has been a Delaware state senator since 2021, and she's likely to become the first trans representative in the U.S. federal Congress. From her website, Sarah has worked for former Governor Jack Markle, the late Attorney General Beau Biden, and served in the Obama White House. Most recently, she served as the national spokesperson for the Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest LGBTQ equal rights organization. Before she was elected to the state Senate, Sarah worked as an advocate to deliver critical wins across Delaware, leading to the successful effort to pass landmark non-discrimination protections in Delaware and championing legislation that protects vulnerable youth from child abuse. In July 2016, she was a speaker at the Democratic National Convention, becoming the first openly transgender person to address a major party convention in American history. In 2018, she published the book Tomorrow Will Be Different: Love, Loss, and the Fight for Trans Equality, with a foreword by Joe Biden. For her work and advocacy, Delaware's Governor Markle awarded McBride the Order of the First State, the state's highest civilian honor. It seems a virtual certainty she'll win the seat in the U.S. House of Representatives this fall, but her existing term concludes at the end of November. Deshauna Neal, non-binary representative from Delaware's District 13. From their website, I was able to pass bipartisan legislation for incarcerated medical health care and support substantial mental and medical health care change. I myself am a mental health provider for at-risk youth in the state of Delaware and see the gaps every day. As a member of the House of Representatives Health and Human Development Committee, I get to actively listen and shape the way our medical and mental health care looks for all in this state. My work to build a better community has grown during this first term. I have since become a mental health professional while maintaining my community organizing efforts. Constantly moving throughout my district, I have loved interacting with people from all walks of life, from local business owners to community leaders. I strive to not only lead my own constituents to prosperity, but to work with community partners so the needs of the people can begin to be met. My years in advocacy have shown me when we speak over each other, we all lose our voices. In Dover, I was able to work from both sides of the aisle and create impactful legislation. Additionally, I started bringing newsletters, constituent coffees, and public safety town halls to the people of District 13. I did this because I know that when the people are equipped with the ability to keep themselves, their families, and their communities safe, they are empowered for generations to come. Danica Roem is a trans woman from Senate District 30 in Virginia and the first openly trans person in any U.S. state legislature. From her website, When I was a kid, my grandfather told me, quote, "The basis of my knowledge comes from reading the newspaper every day." After a while, mine did too. I ended up majoring in journalism and spent the last 10 and a half years reporting the news, including 9 years in Prince William County. I started working for the Gainesville Times a month after graduating college and reported for the Prince William Times too, once our paper expanded to the eastern side of the county. If you're from here, you might have seen me at high school sports games, debates, hearings, or events, or at least recognized my hideous car in the parking lot. I covered games at every public high school in the county. I saw the best in people tackling poverty and homelessness, and the worst in people killing each other. I wrote stories about schools, businesses, development, and of course, transportation. Lots and lots and lots of transportation. Bi-County Parkway, Tri-County Parkway, Sudley Manor, Vint Hill, Linton Hall, that little bridge in Nokesville, VRE 15, 28, 29, 55, 66, 234. If you ran for office in Western Prince William, we talked about transportation. My job was to know enough about the issues to hold elected officials accountable for what they did or didn't do about them. As a reporter, I had to listen to what people were saying and understand their reasoning regardless of my own opinions. It's a lot easier to judge people than to understand them. What makes journalism special is you have to actually pay attention, vet your facts, and receive an earful from your editor and improve your work while reporting the news as a neutral, disinterested third-party observer. And that didn't change when I earned my election to the Virginia General Assembly. I continue to bring a reporter's sensibility to everything I do as a legislator. My number one job as your elected representative isn't to speak. It's to listen. To listen to residents, write down their concerns, ideas, and questions, follow up with them, and ensure what they tell me is part of my policy platform. That's how I took notes and wrote news stories. That's how I craft public policy. Research, question, listen, report. That is how we make real change. I make it my priority every day in everything I do to strive to be a consensus builder and change maker to best serve you, my friends and neighbors. James Roe Essener, trans man from New Hampshire District 22, Ward 8, and the first trans man elected to any state legislature. Information on him is curiously sparse, but he did write a biography that has since been misplaced by the internet, but was quoted in part by NPR on the occasion of his election. In it, he says, quote, "I believe that it is imperative that all individuals have the ability to thrive in New Hampshire," he writes. "We need a leadership that is invested in defending the freedom of all people by taking away barriers to shelter, education, healthcare, voting, and other basic necessities for quality of life." Taylor Small, trans woman from Vermont, Chittenden, 21. From the state website. Small graduated from both Colchester High School and Burlington Technical Center in 2012. She then graduated from the University of Vermont with a bachelor's degree in Human Development and Family Studies with a minor in Sexuality and Gender Identity Studies in 2016 and has lived in the greater Burlington area since. Small was elected as a state representative in November 2020, making her the first out transgender person to serve in the Vermont legislature. She has a strong background in mental health services, community organizing, outreach, and cultural humility education. She now lives in Winooski with her partner and 2 dogs. Izzy Smith Wade L., non-binary from Lancaster and Pennsylvania 49th. From his website. Working in social service organizations across the city, Izzy saw political leaders delivering less and less for working families, while out-of-town real estate developers took more and more. That's why in 2017, they decided to run for city council to widen our city's focus from downtown development to each and every neighborhood. On city council, Izzy has shown up and fought arm in arm with the community to meet their needs, from moving millions of dollars into investment in safe and affordable housing to decriminalizing marijuana and working with Black Lives Matter organizers to change the city police use of force policy. Izzy has joined with community leaders, nonprofits, and neighborhood groups to fight alongside them. But as hard as we work here in Lancaster, the laws of our Commonwealth favor giant corporations, lobbyists, and a status quo that hurts Lancaster's working families. These laws prevent us from leveling the playing field for our friends and neighbors and putting power to the values we share: kindness, welcome, dignity, and care. We've seen what can happen when we organize around our values. When immigrants were at risk, we fought to keep them here at home. When protesters were held on obscene bail bonds, we fought for their release. When COVID-19 ravaged our communities, we masked up, got vaccinated, and helped each other when illness struck. Everything we have accomplished in Lancaster happened because we organized around our values. And that's how we'll keep winning. Brianna Titone, trans woman from Colorado, 27. A volunteer firefighter from high school, she earned a double degree in physics and geology before hanging up her boots to pursue a master's in geochemistry, which she put to use in environmental work in Colorado. During her first campaign for office, that wasn't hard mode enough, so she picked up a second master's in information communication technology. Because she is a boss as well as a geologist, she enjoys trail running through the mountains and photography, which I can very much appreciate. She's used her science skills with a nonprofit geared for helping to solve criminal cases that go over the heads of regular gumshoes. And as a state rep, she continues to overachieve by serving as chair of the legislative LGBTQ+ caucus, chair of the Joint Technology Committee, and as a member of the Energy and Environment, Health and Insurance and Agriculture, Livestock, and Water Committees. She also serves on the SIPA board, the Jeffco Schools STEM Advisory Board, the NCSL Energy and Environment Transportation Committees, as well as the Western Regional Democrat rep of the NCSL Women's Legislative Network Executive Board, the CSG West Energy and Environment, Canada Relations, and Colorado River Forum Advisory Committees. Oof. She believes in this radical idea that more people are needed in government who don't just follow an agenda, but listen to their constituents and hear their concerns. Maury Turner, non-binary rep from Oklahoma, 88. From their website, Maury is the first Muslim elected in Oklahoma and the first non-binary person elected to a state-level position in U.S. history. They understand why equitable and accurate representation matters. This has led them to work with the NAACP of Oklahoma, CAIR of Oklahoma, Freedom Oklahoma, and a continuously growing number of grassroots organizations in the state. Since working in and around Oklahoma's criminal legal system, Maury came to the realization it's not about reform, but about reimagining and rebuilding our justice system with our communities in mind. They have championed legislation for accurate and equitable documentation for community members who live beyond the binary. Zoe Zephyr, trans woman from Montana 100th, Missoula. Zoe's is a name everyone should know. partner to the journalist legend Erin Reed, that's perhaps the least remarkable thing about her. After Montana passed a bill knowing full well it would lead to the deaths of trans children, she was censured by the legislature for her opposition, catapulting her to international fame. She's been the subject of considerable media attention, including a mini documentary. Let's watch a few clips.
In the governor's letter, he said Montanans who struggle with their gender identity deserve love, compassion, and respect. That's not what trans Montanans need from you. We need access to the medical care that saves our lives.
Majority Leader Vinton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I speak on behalf of our caucus. We will not be shamed by anyone in this chamber.
And the only thing I will say is if you vote yes on this bill, and yes on these amendments, I hope the next time there's an invocation, when you bow your heads in prayer, you see the blood on your hands.
Montana Freedom Caucus is calling for Zephyr's censure, claiming she tried to shame the legislative body, all the while they referred to the representative by the wrong pronoun.
Republican leaders prevented Democrat Zoe Zephyr from speaking for a third day due to her remarks about gender-affirming medical care.
Guests will come to order. Sergeant of Arms, will you please clear the gallery?
Rather than working from a desk in the Capitol office, instead is now occupying this bench.
Did you hear my favorite joke I've been making, which is like, finally, transparency in government? Open doors. Open doors, yeah.
This is my student, Sid Beardsleep.
Hi.
You've met Sid before.
Yeah.
Testified against Senate Bill 99, and we've just been so inspired.
Thank you so much, so, for everything you do. We're fighting, okay? Hey. Hey. Chin up, okay? Don't let him take that away, okay? We're loved, and we're gonna fucking win this, okay? Okay? There are some lovely folks sitting who have been parked on the bench that I was sitting on since the morning.
Hey, let's go up there and we'll occupy benches.
Hey, whether they just wanted to take a seat or whether they just wanted to take a stand, either way, hats off to you and the other ladies.
Account may not be used to operate state facilities, and so that was where my question.
Standing desk is all the rage. That's what I hear.
She has been denied the opportunity to do what we sent her to Helena to do, which is speak on behalf of every single person.
It's really good to be home.
And our next person doesn't need an introduction. Zoe Zephyr!
And here I am thinking about my partner, who I would love to invite out here. I am so blessed to have Erin by my side through all of this. So Missoula, if you could share a moment with me. Erin, will you marry me?
Where's Posey Parker when a woman is actually being silenced? How curious. Folks, there are hard times ahead. But there are leaders within this community and more stepping forward every day who are driven to help us build a better tomorrow. If you're in one of these districts, Election Day is right around the corner. Make sure you support the candidates that support our community. Go vote. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe. TransPositions Weekly is the first and only trans news show in the universe, and we need your support to grow the shows we can offer. Join Patreon if you can. Spread the word all over social media to let people know we're here. And tell us what stories matter to you by joining the community on Discord. Hit like and leave a comment. Discord, of course, is where the memes live, and our meme of the week was posted by Bumblebee. And if you are tired of justifying your existence to people with an IQ lower than their shoe size, join us. Also, if you have good news concerning trans people you'd like to see reported on, you can tell us about that in the Discord as well. For the Transpositions, I've been Ember Belrad.
Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm trying something new this week, so hopefully it's worthwhile and everybody enjoys it. So blurry. I wanted to do like a community board thing. Now I run the community board for the Transposition channel. Like if you go to the YouTube channel and you see my awesome memes and art and stuff that we share from trans creators on the community board, that's me. I'm the one running that for the most part. Obviously, I've been away at a time or two and Steph stepped in and put updates and such in there, but generally it's me you're seeing. So I would like to try to get some more traction on that. So I'm going to start pulling topics from Reddit and from some trans women support groups and things. Obviously, I'm going to do it anonymously so that nobody feels like they're being doxxed by this. But I do want to give you kind of an idea of what we're talking about here. All right, so this popped up on my feed, and I just I feel this. I really do. It says, like, I know that HRT is working, and I know that I pass based on how people look at me and address me in public. But at the same time, I'm so jealous of all the younger girls here. I'm 38. I wish I could be as pretty as you. I know it's silly, but there are just some days where I feel like I will never look as good as you do. And I wish I would have realized who I was sooner. Maybe in the next life, I can be born a cis girl. And that's really it does punctuate a feeling a lot of trans women would express. Now it could be easy to let that turn you into a spiteful person. Don't do that. It's just the same as any other kind of options people had. It's the I had to live through it, so should they mentality that we don't need to get into right now. I am happy to see young women who were able to transition early on and didn't have to deal with some of the stuff that I have to deal with. I'm happy for that. That's why I endorse puberty blockers and gender affirming care. But this will be up on the community board, so I would love your commentary on it and your take on this topic. I want to hear what the community for the Transpositions has to say on this. All right, and then the next one I have is, close that one out. and I might have to find a better way to go through these like this, is this one. And this one, it touches a lot of people's lives, lived experience as well. Got misgendered twice in the span of an hour by my 20-year-old supervisor. First one I let go as a slip up, mostly because we were busy. Second one, I got on headset and was like, hey, just a reminder, everyone, my pronouns are she, her, not he, him. And she came back and then she came over to me and was like, I'm sorry, did I say it that on mic? Which maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but it sounds like I say it all the time about you off mic, but I hate that you caught. I hate that I got caught saying it on the mic. Or let me see. But I hate that I caught on the mic saying it. Yes, there's a little bit of a typo in there, but you get the point what they're saying there. Then gave me the super cis apology about how bad she felt. Good thing I don't have to be here another 6 hours today. So, I mean, when you're counting the blessing from being away from work, so you're not getting misgendered, that's a problem in the work environment. Maybe this person didn't mean it that way. And I'm sure, and I was talking to Steph about this earlier, that, people may misgender you when you're not around, just flippantly. Some people might, and then some other people might correct those people. And then and then the people that are misgendering you flippantly wonder why you don't want to come around. Yeah. And anyway, I digress. This is a workspace. It sounds like it maybe have been like what it sounds like to me is because I worked fast food, but it sounds like maybe like a fast food situation where someone's working in the back, someone's working the register, someone's working the window, and they talk to each other through the headsets. And somebody referred to her as he, the supervisor did. And then they did it again, and that they came back to apologize. And then part of their apology was saying, I didn't mean for you to hear me say that. You never apologize like that. When you insult somebody, don't apologize by saying, I didn't mean for you to hear me insulting you. I'm not sorry I insulted you. I'm sorry you heard it, is what that says to the person. So just don't do that. Be cool. All right. Now, this one will also be up on the community board tomorrow morning. I want to hear your thoughts on it. I want to hear how you feel about this interaction that this person had. They're celebrating just being away for 6 hours, which it says a lot about how they feel in this environment. But how do you feel in this environment? Yeah, let us know. All right, I'm going to kick it right over. I'm going to kick it right over to sports. So, yeah, we're gonna be heading into that now. Let me see. Got exit out of here, and y'all have to look at me for just a second here while I pull this up and get it running.
A bait and switch in the Mountain West volleyball forfeit crisis. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb. There was supposed to be a volleyball match in Reno, Nevada on October 26th between San Jose State and Nevada in the Mountain West Conference. With the conference and the schools agreeing, that match got switched to San Jose, California, which opens the door for the Nevada players to forfeit. Now, the Nevada players said that they were going to forfeit because of allegations that San Jose State has a transgender woman on the team, even though officially neither they or the other teams that have forfeited throughout this season are willing to actually say that. Now, just a reminder for those who are being willfully transphobic. It keeps with the editorial policies of Transposition News and Char Sports 1. You see, Blair Fleming has played college volleyball, as we said, for the last 3 years. She has not publicly said anything about her gender identity at all during that time. Let's say that Blair Fleming is trans. Let's say she comes out with it. If that is the case, then the NCAA already has the rules set up. According to NCAA regulations this year, she would have to put paperwork proving that she meets the serum testosterone standard, which is the sub-elite USA volleyball standard that they're going by. 10 nanomoles per liter, proof that you've been on it for at least 1 year. Again, she's played for at least 3 years. So the NCAA, if she is trans, already has a mountain of paperwork, and prior to this season got more. It's the only way that she could be on the court for San Jose State. She has met all those criterion already, and if San Jose State makes it to the Mountain West tournament or the NCAA tournament, she would have to refile and resubmit tests and paperwork again. That's the way the rules work, and that's the things that the transphobes, the professional ones, aren't telling you. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story or concerns about safety and fairness. Something Nevada's captain, Sia Lilly, tried to sell on Fox News this week.
You intend to forfeit the match against San Jose State. Tell us why.
Yes, we just want our rights to be upheld on the court, and we believe that women deserve fair opportunity, and it's just not right. I think that me and my teammates have gone over the fact that this is running a big risk for us. I mean, our one goal as a team is to win a Mountain West championship, and by forfeiting a game, that puts that at risk, which is our main goal. So of course there's repercussions in that sense, but we all know that it's something that we want to stand for, and it's bigger than just a win and loss. It's women's sports and the future of it.
Right.
Over the weekend, the Mountain West commissioner, Gloria Narvaez, made her feelings publicly known. Finally, a conference official actually saying something. She said that she was heartbroken about what's going on in the league right now. She said, quote, "It breaks my heart because these young student athletes on both sides of this issue are now under unnecessary scrutiny on a national scale. This situation doesn't sit right with me." Now, one thing to understand about the commissioner of the Mountain West, this is the latest in a number of challenges she's had to deal with this year. For starters, the Mountain West right now is caught very much in the middle of the tectonic shifts that we're seeing in college sports right now because of conference realignment and a lot of that driven by football. 5 of the strongest members of the league are heading to the Pac-12 after this season. And one of those is at the center of one of the biggest stories in college football right now. Boise State looks like a high seed in the upcoming college football playoffs, and Aston Janti is the Heisman frontrunner at this moment. So there's a lot of worry in the Mountain West Conference offices at this point. This is the latest of that. The forfeit mania has even seeped down to the high schools. A continent away right now, 2 kids in New Hampshire, Parker Terrell and Miles Zhang, have found that they're both playing soccer to no one because teams are forfeiting their games because both of them are transgender girls. Never mind that a federal injunction against a ban law in New Hampshire still allows them to play. They've both been the targets of protests and schools forfeiting games. Now, as far as the forfeits go, I'm kind of the mind of Phoebe Rose, who was on our forum last week.
The only way around it is to sanction them and to say to these teams, you play by our rules and you play every other team, or you get out. And that's it.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in Transposition Sports. A big deal in the darts world. Congratulations, Noah Lynn van Leuven of the Netherlands, qualifying for your first PDC World Darts Championship. Got the job done in the Women's Series 21s in Leicester, England last week, defeating the world's #1 player, Bo Greaves, 5-3, and clinching her way into the World Championships this December. Now, the 28-year-old is a transgender woman. She has been the subject of a lot of scrutiny, been the subject of a lot of controversy, and just like we've seen in high school soccer and college volleyball here in the States, she's had people say, I don't want to play you because of who you are, never mind that you're fully eligible to play. Noah Lynn Van Leuven, good luck at the World Championships. And just a note to those who don't want to play her, look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you really willing to give up a shot at a World Championship to placate people who don't care about your sport? Think about it. Coming up next on Transposition Sports, a Campaign 2024 update. They'll be back in a minute, but first, a message from the angry gay grandpa. Just a note, have your Kleenex ready. We'll be back.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt? I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. Here's a Campaign 2024 update. You know, for the last few weeks, we've been showing you the ugly anti-trans ads that have been put up, brought to you by the Republicans.
Transphobia for a stronger America.
Here's what some prominent trans leaders had to say about this. Now, we're showing you this because you don't get to hear our voices too often, especially in the mainstream media. But Raquel Willis made her opinions known earlier this week.
What was your reaction when you first saw this Trump campaign ad painting Harris as an extreme liberal that is a danger to conservatism?
I found it very disgusting. I mean, I think it's an expensive tactic to take cheap shots at the trans community. We've seen time and time again the GOP paint so many different communities on the margins as villains in America's story. We've seen it with conversations around migrants. We've seen it around conversations around our Haitian fam and so many folks who are making decisions about their own bodies, including having abortions. So it's not surprising, but I want it to be clear that we can't just let this rhetoric exist. And I think that that's what the Harris campaign has been doing for a long time. It's just letting this kind of anti-trans rhetoric exist and hoping it will dissipate. We have to be clear that it's disgusting that trans folks are being demonized. Incarcerated folks deserve holistic health care. Migrants deserve holistic health care. And trans folks deserve holistic health care like everyone else in this country.
What do you say to parents who don't want their daughters, for instance, competing in sports against athletes assigned male at birth? That's been a big talker for many, many years, especially recently. That's ramped up quite a bit. So what do you think?
I think that trans folks deserve to pursue our passions like anyone else, right? We know that people have all types of experiences, all types of bodies, and there are also so many barriers to participating in sports. So all of this focus on trans folks when there's such a small number of trans folks who have the opportunity to access sports is really disgusting. We should be talking about barriers like economic barriers to participating in sports. You know, there's so many other things. And I think that it's really disgusting that trans youth are living in a time when, of course, there's more visibility than ever before, but there's also more targets on our backs than ever before. This is not a problem, and sports bodies across the country and globally have settled the discussion around trans folks participating in competitions.
Another person who rang in on the nonsense we're seeing in this campaign year is somebody who's running for re-election herself. Montana State Representative Zoe Zephyr. You remember Zoe Zephyr? Last year, the Republicans tried to silence her because she was stating the facts. They tried to drag her through the streets of Helena. Instead, she drugged them. And after she was done, she got engaged. Here's what Zoe had to say.
What is the threat that a second Trump presidency poses to the trans community?
You know, we don't have to look farther than the Trump campaign's closing arguments here in the 2024 elections, where we have seen tens of millions of dollars in ads targeting our communities. And we have seen them make this case. So we talk about the harm it will do to the trans community. We would see national bans. We would see additional targets on our access to healthcare and our ability to exist in public life. But more broadly, we see where their focus is. In the last month of the campaign, Trump's focus has been on excluding healthcare to a small minority of the American population. Whereas you look at Harris's closing arguments are about expanding healthcare, allowing Medicaid to provide coverage for in-home care for seniors, things like that. So we will see impact to healthcare for trans people as well, but we will see the myopic vision of the Republican Party continue to target our community despite the needs of the American people.
And that leads me to the spotlight this week. You know, a lot of people talk about there are two sides to this issue. And you know what? They're right. There are two sides. The thing is, just about everybody misidentifies the two sides. There are many people who say there's these extremes. There's those extremes on one side. You know, the icons, Riley Gaines types want to ban everything. And then there's the extreme on the other side who say you should let everyone in no matter what. And there's so many of us in the middle who believe in anyone who tells you that is actually on the side of exclusion. These are what the two sides are. One side is total exclusion. That's what the side is. The other side is inclusion. Now, there are many people on that side who have differing beliefs, and you know something? That's okay. There are some who take the extreme view that everyone should be let in no matter what at all levels of sport. I don't necessarily adhere to that view, but I don't find anyone who's on the side of inclusion who's willing to compromise with those whose only stake in the game is, as Michael Knowles said,
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
Eradicate.
To me, it's simple. You're either for inclusion or you're not. You're either for human rights or you're not. And by the way, the IOC has already said it and they stated it plain. The practice of sport is a human right. With those things in mind, I want to revisit what Gloria Narvaez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, said. I want to revisit this because I find this very interesting and I find it problematic. It breaks my heart because these are young student athletes on both sides of the issue who are now under unnecessary scrutiny on a national scale. This situation doesn't sit right with me. Commissioner Narvaez, I disagree with you. More so, you're wrong in two areas. First area where you're wrong is that the only student athlete under scrutiny is the outside hitter for San Jose State. A player who, by the way, has not publicly stated what her gender identity is, whether she's cis or trans. By the way, if she is trans, and again, she hasn't said anything that she is or isn't, she'd be eligible to compete under the rules of the NCAA and the rules of the Mountain West Conference. rules that you all agreed to and set forth, and for some reason have no stomach to defend. And secondly, you're wrong in another critical area. The matter that one side is the equivalent to the other. Inclusion and bigotry are not equivalent values. Bigotry is not another opinion. The anti-trans opinions of these schools that are forfeiting these games, which are being powered by people that have no skin in women's sports, no interest in college volleyball. They just have an interest in what Michael Knowles said.
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
Eradicate. Eradicate. Eradicate.
That's Riley Gaines' interest. Why else is she putting up this petty personal lawsuit? Because she's upset about a trophy that's sitting on her mantle right now. So no, you're wrong on this. One side is not equivalent of the other. Unfortunately, that is what's happening in the landscape, that people are actually believing that there's two sides to this deal and they're both equal. No, they aren't equal. Another place where it's not equal is in the way that this is being framed in the press and the way that this is being shown to the public.
Some Republicans in the Oregon legislature are calling for immediate action in high school sports after a male student competed against girls in a track meet this weekend.
And after a teenager born biologically male competed in a high school girls track and field meet in Portland.
All these institutions who are happy to trash all those young girls' hopes and dreams as well as their basic human rights in order to entertain the delusions of one young man.
And it was just this feeling of like, what about us? Like there's 18, 19 other women on this team that are having to deal with this and the backlash, and then also having to mentally go through the fact of finding out that this is a man we're playing with and that it's connecting all the puzzle pieces of why Blair played so differently.
When they talk about safety, what safety are we talking about here? Whose safety are we talking about here? If you're talking about the safety of cisgender comfort, that's accurate because that's what this is really about. And secondly, fairness. Whose fairness are we talking about? To be honest, when I hear people talk about fairness, what they're really talking about is cisgender people's comfort. Fairness is defined by what's fair for cis people. Let's just be honest. Let's just own that. Sia Pillai and Brooke Slusser are always talking about fairness. By the way, Brooke Slusser is the captain of the San Jose State team, was a former roommate of Fleming, and is now dropping dime on her to every right-wing anti-trans media outlet with $1 and a dream. I wonder, how fair is that to Blair Fleming? See, when we talk about fairness on these issues, we don't talk about fairness for trans people. What fairness is Parker Terrell, a young girl in New Hampshire playing soccer, or another young girl in New Hampshire, Maëlle Jacques, what fairness are they getting? Where's their fairness? You see, I'm of the belief that they all should get some fairness too. The fairness that says that they will be protected and they will not be the one who people on social media are pointing to them and say, maybe you should just quit the team. The fairness of having governing bodies say, these are our rules. You don't like it? Fine, take the L. Instead of switching a match and making it sound like, well, everything's okay. Where's the fairness in the shame that these kids are getting, but not the shame the teams that forfeiting are getting? And that even comes from schools which are supposedly supporting their athletes. If I'm last week I talked about if I was the athletic director at Nevada, if I'm the athletic director at San Jose State, I'm publicly shaming every team that forfeited against us. I'll admit to that because I believe that that kid be they trans or whatever, who's taking the heat should get some fairness too. When we're really serious about dealing with that question, then we will really be ready to move forward. But given the actions of the governing bodies in all of this, I'm not holding my breath. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay-Webb.
You're muted, doll.
Hi there. I'm a bit tired, but hey, I usually have something, a news story to present. Usually, well, recently, thanks to Bree, because I haven't really had the time to pay attention to the news because I've been really busy trying to reinvent myself, and which has caused me to sort of, well, not reinvent myself, but switch, not switch careers either, but you just find a better way of trying to live, which reminded me of transition. Like, golly, 26 years ago, right? I think it is. No, wait a minute. 23 years ago. Dang. 1998. You figured it out. So the thing is, whenever you go through a period of change, there's a lot of growth involved, and it doesn't really matter what age that happens at. I think it's hard. Birth is hard. Rebirth is equally hard. And at some point, through all of these journeys that I've had, throughout my life, it's always the point where you just have found you, where whoever that is the person other people perceive. I think that's a key insight, and for me, it was like 6 years after beginning transition. I found my way to dance, and once I did, it didn't matter. Passing didn't matter. Misgendering mattered only insofar as people were simply mistaken. It was much easier to let it go than saying, than being my own worst critic in terms of gender performance, which I think, along with the theorists of gender theory, gender performance is not the thing. You just you. And when you're comfortable with being you, people will see you as you. And if that you is gendered, as my you is gendered, I am a saucy mouth bitch, old saucy mouth bitch. And that's how I'm perceived. And I don't mind because that's who I am. So, what's hurtful are other people who want to take a particular characteristic of a person and put them into a group and cart them away and eliminate them from public life entirely, as Michael Nell said in the last segment. And you know, all of this stuff. Who's got the ideology here? You grab onto some one characteristic and you fence those people in because you just simply don't care to understand them or ask questions of them or engage in dialogue with them. And what's funny to me is that altogether too many people in my circle do not share my politics, but there are several who do not, who have never, ever misgendered me or given me a hard time about transition. It's very peculiar, and I have a hard time figuring out what my best approach would be to them to say, hey, if you care about your friend, you should care about her friends too. And I think that's a really kind of key thing that we need to be somewhat concerned with, because it's individual to individual that's going to change hearts and going to change minds eventually. So I guess that's it for me. This is Steffing again, but not with a news story. This is more of a personal perspective, and from the perspective of someone who's had a very interesting and rather long journey. Well, 22 was GRS. That's coming right. That anniversary is coming right up in November, as is my 71st birthday. So I'm just saying, kids, come onto my lawn. It's okay. I love you all. For the Transpositions, I'm Stephanie Helms.
All right, might as well just pop onto the screen since we're about to wrap up. Carly is doing her panel thing. I'm blurry again. Carly's doing her panel thing. So if you are interested in, I don't support X or anything on there, but if you're interested in that, Carly's over there doing her thing. So you go check that out. We don't have too much more to cover tonight. I do want to say that we'll get some more stability on things once I get moved and settled in, and once Steph gets a place where she's settled in, because we're the producers.
You're working on that.
And we're both like up in the air right now, so the show's kind of erratic. But we're changing, making big changes in our life. Hopefully, it'll allow me to do more here. It'll allow me to do more shows and stuff on the channel, which I'd love to do, but I want to get to 500 before we do a second show. I'm telling you what, though, we get to 500, me and Steph are going to do a call-in show. So
we sure as hell are.
So if you want to see that, help us get up there. We're almost there. We're at 423 now. We kind of stagnated over the last week, but again, we haven't been putting out quite as much of the content as we had in the past, due to these situations. So, but we're still here. We're still kicking around ideas on what we want to see. I definitely like the tagline, the first trans news network by trans people for trans people.
Here we go.
I
like it.
I think that's a good tagline for the Transpositions network. And we are going to be a network. It's going to be more than just me producing content and staff producing content. We are going to open it up to have other people producing content on the channel as well. Once we get some stabilization for the weekly show. I have lots of different ideas. We've dabbled in this and that, but we'll see what the future holds. You got any final words for us, Steph?
Not really. It's just that, tomorrow is coming, and hopefully it's a better one. We'll see what the future holds, but we've got to make the future, and we're doing it. We're doing it now. We're going to keep doing it. We need everybody who enjoys this content and to like us, subscribe, please get us to 500. Do all that stuff. If you haven't hit the like button yet, come on now.
We just got rated.
Let's go. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, we were just wrapping up and we just got rated. That's crazy. Hello, everybody. We're just finishing.
You want to keep going, Bree?
I don't have anything else to cover. Oh, hello, everybody. This is the Transpositions. As I was just saying, this is the first and only news network by trans people for trans people. But everybody's welcome here, and from all colors of the rainbow.
It's
and
not
walks
just
of
for
life.
trans people, for everyone, right?
Yeah,
for trans people, for everyone. We want to share our perspectives with you all. And hey, Nick, all you folks, it's like, thanks so much for coming. This is fun.
Yeah. As we were mentioning, also Steph and I are in flux of moving, so this may be a kind of a standard thing, is just having me and Steph up here at the end of the show. Anyway, thank you again, and thank you for sending your audience over to us. We really do appreciate it. I guess we're gonna go out on a high note with all these people in here.
Yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. And I don't know what else to say. I think we had a good show. We talked about a lot of stuff. I got a little bit of something off my chest with regard to acceptance and all of that stuff. I just I've been thinking about it a lot lately. So.
Yeah, and please
5 minutes of me going off, I guess, on which ain't news, I guess. But yeah,
and
let's
please interact with the community post here. I need that for the content that I'm making here. So I'm going to be putting those up, and I want to hear what you have to say about these situations these trans women are finding themselves in. I want to know what you out there and how you feel about this, and how you would feel in this situation, and what you would do moving forward. So look for those community posts. And yeah, I guess we will see you next.
Just letting Nick know right now, the Transpositions is every week, 0 hour UTC, Friday, or 8 p.m. Eastern time. And which is why we're wrapping up the show now. We love having you guys come by, but go back and listen to the show. We have some really great content. We had Carly talking about some really recent sports stories. We had Ember covering a vast array of trans people who are seeking office this year, who have made an impact in their states and in their localities, and hopefully in the House of Representatives, with Sarah McBride in Delaware. We had, and that was our usual good news segment. And we had our roundtable where we covered a whole number of subjects, and Bree's segment as well, talking about more stuff. So check us out. Check us out. Go back and hopefully maybe watch the show, and hopefully maybe subscribe, and join us on the Discord. And thanks. Good night, everybody.